Hello, welcome to this screencast on sports psychology, individual differences. We are still on arousal, okay? So we have looked at drive theory, inverted U theory. We are now going to finish off the arousal specification by looking at catastrophe theory. Now, in terms of questioning, down here you've got something beginning with, or something to do with catastrophe theory. So question arousal has a significant effect on performance in sport. Evaluates the strengths and weaknesses of the following theories of arousal, okay? So moving on to catastrophe theory. Before we actually start talking about catastrophe theory, we have to know about two different types of arousal that we have. Okay, so we've got somatic arousal. Now these are, or this is our physiological arousal, such as heart rate or sweating. Okay, so that is our somatic arousal. And then we have cognitive arousal. Cognitive arousal is our psychological arousal, and it's to do with worry. Okay, so like worry about failing, for example. Okay, so these two arousal types are important when we come to discuss catastrophe theory. Okay, so this is what catastrophe theory looks like. Arousal here, low, high. Performance, low, high. As you can see, as arousal increases, so does performance up to a point, and then there's an absolute disaster or catastrophe. There's an extreme decline, not a gradual decline like the inverted U theory. This is an extreme decline in performance. Okay, so if we go through each point A, B, C, and D, and with an example, and you can get this down with questions, that would be great. So first of all, as somatic arousal increases, so does the quality of performance to a midpoint. That's point A. So somatic arousal is physiological arousal, so heart rate, for example. So as that increases, so does quality of performance to a midpoint, which is A. Unfortunately, what happens is when somatic arousal is high, and it clashes with high cognitive arousal, i.e. that worry of failing, there is a sudden dramatic drop in performance, a catastrophe, okay, a disaster. This is what happens when both somatic and cognitive arousal are high. They clash and it causes a sudden dramatic drop in performance, a catastrophe, disaster. Okay, so for example, a footballer putting in a dangerous tackle early in a cup final could be an example of catastrophe theory in action. If arousal continues to rise, performance will drop more. That's point C down here. Now what you can see here with point D is actually if cognitive arousal can be lowered, this feeling of worry, this fear of failing, if that can be lowered, performance can actually start to recover again. And we can go back to having just high somatic arousal levels, which is going to increase our performance again to an optimal point, midpoint. Okay, so that's catastrophe theory. That's all we're going to be doing on this screencast. In lesson, we'll be going through the evaluation points of catastrophe theory. However, it's really important that you draw this and you get each point down, because that is you being able to describe catastrophe theory. Okay, thank you for listening. Please make sure I have good questions on this. Thank you.